Chapter 11. And we're here in Columbus, Ohio at the Nationwide Arena with 18,000 WWE fans on hand, and we're coming out off the high of Money in the Bank, Ben said. That's right, Ben. There were twists and turns that were unexpected, and this is the aftermath, right here on Monday Night Raw. Someone's theme hit as the Brotherhood slowly marched down to the ring. The Rev planted himself in the center of the ring as the rest of the members stood on either side of him. Columbus, Ohio. Fans booed. I stand before you today with a message. More boos followed to no one's surprise. It seems, he paused, that there must have been a misunderstanding of who was supposed to win that Money in the Bank briefcase. Jeers and chants of "You are salty" started throughout the arena. Someone near him shouted, "Maybe next year, you goof!" The Reverend glared at the fan, causing the fan to give him the finger. He turned to each of the members. Your losses will not go unpunished, but that will wait. We have more important things to deal with, such as... Just then, the lights went out. They flickered back on, revealing a dark hall, a single lantern giving off light. There was a door at the end of the hall. The camera focused in on the door. Blood-red letters were shown. A single note rang out through the arena. The letters read as followed. Did you ever think that we would forget? The many lives that were taken on this day, did you think we would forget? The scene changes to Sav standing in front of a burning building. It zooms in on her face. A solemn look. It cuts back to the door where new letters have formed. When will you learn? We will be watching. The screen cuts to black as the lights brighten themselves. The Rev looked confused. Whatever that was, it interrupted my speech as I was saying. A hint of worry shone on his face. Anyone who opposes us will be crushed under our boots, no matter what kind of tactics they attempt to use on us. You think whatever that was has the Rev paranoid? Ben asked. I don't know, Isaiah said. Whatever he was going to say, he lost it. Soothings got him worked up. He's never like this. The music hit as the Rev and crew left the ring. Backstage, the Rev sat in a corner of the room with his members while in the background, the Warden and Iron Maiden played Smash Bros. Hey, you're in the wrong room. This the hangout spot, Warden said. Raven glared at him. Don't worry about them, Iron Maiden said. We don't have any beef with them. Since when did I say you guys could play video games back here? The Rev demanded. Since when did you become the law of the land? The Warden snapped back. Just then, Duncan came in carrying a third controller. You've got to be shitting me right now, the Rev said. Why don't you mind your business, Rev? Woot woot, here come the fun police. Duncan pretended to hold a megaphone to his mouth. The other two laughed as Duncan joined them in a game of Smash. The Reverend turned back to his members. I have no time for child's games. There are more important things like the fact that I saw... He paused. Them. It can't be them, Ray said. Didn't they die in the fire as well? The Wyatt Six? You ended them, did you not? The Rev thought. Perhaps. A few of them survived, but who? My father never misses. He is very good at what he does. Raven lifted her head. What if your father missed a couple? It's just 5 members, correct? The Rev nodded. All these years and all this time, the Reverend began to pace about. How long have they waited in the shadows? Plotting against me. If the Wyatt Six are alive, then you must find them. Put an end to them before it is too late. Just then, Mankind came running into the room with something in her hand. Making a beeline for Rev, she handed it to him. Urgent, she said in between breaths. Don't know what it is. Someone came up to me after that video played and gave it to me. Without looking at her, the Reverend took the paper from her hand. Leave, he said coldly. He opened up the paper, revealing drawings of a pig, rabbit, a buzzard, a creepy-looking woman, and a man in a mask holding a lantern in the shape of a head. "Who is that?" Raven asked. "Uncle Howdy." "Uncle Howdy?" Raven asked. There were words in red on the bottom of the piece of paper. They read, "Will you let him in?" "Monsters," the Rev said as he crumpled up the piece of paper. "They're nothing to me now, ghosts of the past. The Wyatt Six are dead. I can assure you of that. I made sure of it." "You seem unsure of yourself," Raven said. "What are the Wyatt Six?" she asked. "They're an idea, something created to enact their own form of twisted justice on those unfortunate to cross their paths." "What kind of justice?" she asked. "Justice on those who have abandoned their families, justice on those who have wronged other people." "Have you wronged anyone?" she asked. The Rev shook his head. "I have never wronged anybody. I have done it all for the greater good. I had to do what had to be done." Raven thought for a few seconds. "I will do what I must to defeat the Wyatt Six, brother." The Rev smiled. "Good sister." "I have one more question." Raven sounded unsure. "If you were to do anything wrong, would you tell me? Remember, I was once lost, but now I see the light. Your light, the one that will guide me to victory." The Reverend thought about the next few words. "If I've done anything, I've already repented for my sins. The Wyatt Six are just ghosts of my past, and we must work to get rid of them." Later that night, Duncan came down to the ring holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. He stood on the apron, hyping the crowd. Taking the microphone from Katie, he began to speak. "Guess whose prayers weren't answered this week? Looks like someone skipped church," the fans said. "Ooh. Anyway, fate or not, here I am, Mr. Money in the Bank." The fans cheered again. "Oh, by the way," he paused, "you still owe me a cousin." Duncan dropped the mic, leaving the ring as his theme plays. Someone's music played. Mankind came out wearing a black dress with gold interlocking circles on it. She carried a shield with the same designs on it as well. She went through the crowd shaking hands with fans. One of the fans was a little girl who got her attention. She hugged the girl, a big smile on her face. She stood on the ring apron carrying the briefcase, the symbol of peace. She smiled, waving to the crowd. "Columbus, Ohio!" Fans cheered. "It is an honor to be up here in front of you as Miss Money in the Bank. What an exciting time to be alive." She waited for the crowd to die down. "It has come to my attention that something unusual has been happening in the locker rooms, and I think it's a good time to talk about it. I've heard rumors of the return of the Wyatt Six. As of now, we don't know their intentions or their motives. If they do decide to cause trouble, we could reason with them. As a person of peace, it is my responsibility to make peace with everyone. But enough of them. Let's not the Wyatt Six ruin our fun. This is the aftermath of the Money in the Bank." The Reverend was backstage talking with Paul Heyman. "This can't be happening. The Wyatt Six tell me if I'm dreaming. You used to be the wise man for Roman Reigns. What wisdom do you have to impart unto me?" He continued, his words coming out fast. "You're the GM. Maybe you can move them to SmackDown or—" Paul stopped him. "Sorry, Reverend, but maybe you're on their list for a reason. The fact is," he paused, "I'm surprised you haven't gotten locked up yet. Those unnecessary deaths of those wrestlers. No wonder everyone hates your guts. Hell, I hate your guts. You want wisdom. If you're going to survive the Wyatt Six, you're going to need all the help you can get." We are live here at Delta Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. 17,000 fans in attendance. Remember last week on Raw where Paul Heyman's chilling words to the Rev were to get all the help he can get if he is going to survive the Wyatt Six. I don't know about you, Isaiah, but I wouldn't even think about going near the Wyatt Six if I could help it. Laughing, Ben said, "Me too, Isaiah. I wouldn't even ride in the same vehicle as them. They are terrifying." Cut to backstage, Raven sits alone staring into space. Claire Nation slips in behind her as she taps her on the shoulder, causing Raven to jump. "Did I ruin your beauty nap?" Claire Nation snarked. I was meditating. Yeah? Well, did you meditate on the fact that you need to snap out of it? How long until you realize that you are being controlled? How long will it take you to know that you lost a friend? Raven stared down at Claire Nation. You realize that I am doing it for the greater cause, for the future of the WWE. All you have to do is accept. Accept what? Claire Nation was frustrated. Accept the teachings of our Reverend. He lights the way. Claire Nation shook her head. You don't know what you're doing. She hesitated. Raven, so many people have been hurt by the Rev. Families and friends of the wrestlers are hurting, and you're saying it was worth it? Raven nodded. Well, I hope you enjoy your little cult then. I will not be a part of it. Then you're against us. You always say that. I have to warn you, though. Her voice got lower. The family will always be watching. The Wyatt Six, Ben said. What role do they play in all of this? Eli Hammer was backstage. He looked pissed as always. Duncan came up to him. Hey. Duncan put a hand on his shoulder. I know you really wanted that win at Money in the Bank. Eli nodded. I should have won that. Duncan nodded. What would you do with all that money? Daddy's money got you nowhere. At this point, you've got nowhere else to go except, well, I don't know where you would go. Looking defeated, Eli Hammer asked, What am I to do? Duncan thought. He whispered something to Eli. Eli looked surprised. Duncan made a swooshing gesture as the two men walked separate ways. Back in the ring, Ben held the object given to him by the woman. It's a flash drive, Ben said as he opened it. Why would they give this to us? Isaiah said, There must be something important on here that they want us to see. Let's get it to the tech crew. A few minutes later, a grainy video of two people appeared. One of them was Roman Reigns, the other one hidden in shadow. The figure in the shadows began to speak.
You reached out to us. What brings you to us?
Why do you think I'm here? I came a long way to find you.
Yes, you did. We commend you for traveling so far, but we assume there are more things to discuss, such as...
The mask took the shape of the woman as it tilted its head towards something off-screen. The video flickered, then focused on a small picture frame. It was broken with cracks like a spider web. Recognition crossed his face, then quickly replaced by anger. It was a picture of Jimmy Uso, one of Roman's cousins. That was 10 years ago. I lost everything. Jay lost everything. I left the WWE because of the Brotherhood. In the background of the video, faces of the dead wrestlers went by. The woman began to speak.
Yes, we commend you for putting your family first. How did it feel to lose it all? The title belt? Your Ula Fala? Most of your family? You are a chief with no tribe. A Roman with no empire. Does that burden you?
Roman took a moment to think. I could care less about those things. I had family taken from me. The wrestlers who died to the hands of the Brotherhood didn't deserve this. To be honest, I have nothing left to lose. I don't carry the burden of having to be the tribal chief. I can do what I want for once. Roman looked at the picture frame. If there's one thing I do want, he paused. Justice for Jimmy. And Rev, he said ominously. You're gonna wish you hadn't crossed paths with the OTC. Cut to black as fans popped off. Who are the new Wyatt Six? Isaiah asked. This is the first time that the Rev has been on edge. He loves control, and the Wyatt Six can't be controlled. All he had to do is let him in, Ben said. I don't think it's that. The Rev made the mistake of going after the Wyatt Six. That's something you don't want to do. Out of all of the factions to go after, the Rev picked one of the most dangerous factions in the history of the WWE. Only an insane person would go after the Wyatt Six. Isaiah said. I guess the Reverend is insane enough too. I have a feeling he made a terrible mistake. So, what's with all this Wyatt Six talk? Nightshade asked. She was talking to Mankind. Mankind shrugged. Just another group who has problems with other people. It's unfortunately the way of things. Nightshade nodded. How unfortunate. What if the Wyatt Six is here to take over the WWE? Mankind shook her head. they don't seem to crave power, at least when I've seen them time and time again. To be honest, I'm not sure who the new members of the family are since the previous members died. I just want to get out there and wrestle, Nightshade said. That Raven girl put me on the shelf, and I wasn't able to enter Money in the Bank. Tonight is the qualifying round for the United States Champion, Mankind said. You could do that. If I could get my hands on Raven, that would be great. The following is scheduled for one fall, and it is for the qualifying round for the United States Champion. The fans cheered. Introducing first, Monty said. Hailing from Sacramento, California, mez with the wrong herbs. You'll end up in the earth. Nightshade. Nightshade made her way through the crowd in her purple flowery dress as she gave fans high fives. She flipped over the barricade and into the ring. And her opponent, she is from Atlanta, Georgia. She'll leave you in the cold black ice blizzard. Who are the new members of the Wyatt Six? Isaiah asked. This is the first time that the Rev has been on edge. He loves control, and the fact is that the Wyatt Six can't be controlled. All he had to do is let him in, Ben said. I don't think it's that. The Rev made the mistake of going after the Wyatt Six. That's something you don't want to do. Out of all of the factions to go after, the Rev picked one of the most dangerous factions in the history of the WWE. Only an insane person would go after the Wyatt Six, Isaiah said. I guess the Reverend is insane enough too. I have a feeling he made a terrible mistake. So what's with all this Wyatt Six talk? Nightshade asked. She was talking to Mankind. Mankind shrugged. Just another group who has problems with other people. It's unfortunately the way of things. Nightshade nodded. How unfortunate. What if the Wyatt Six is here to take over the WWE? Mankind shook her head. They don't seem to crave power, at least when I've seen them time and time again. To be honest, I'm not sure who the new members of the family are since the previous members died. I just want to get out there and wrestle, Nightshade said. That Raven girl put me on the shelf, and I wasn't able to enter Money in the Bank. Tonight is the qualifying round for the United States Champion, Mankind said. You could do that. If I could get my hands on Raven, that would be great. The following is scheduled for one fall, and it is for the qualifying round for the Women United States Champion. The fans cheered. Introducing first, Monty said. Hailing from Sacramento, California, mess with the wrong herbs, you'll end up in the earth, Nightshade. Nightshade made her way through the crowd in her purple flowery dress as she gave fans high fives. She flipped over the barricade and into the ring. And her opponent, born in the warmth of Atlanta, Georgia, but ice still flows through her veins, black ice blizzard. Ice trailed behind her as she walked down to the ramp. She had blue one-piece suit with straps. Disbelief was written on her face. I wanted that Raven chick or that Mankind woman, she thought, not some nobody. Both women staring each other down. You notice that Black Ice looks disappointed? She was expecting someone like Zelda or Raven, but instead she got Nightshade, Isaiah said. And here's the start for the qualification round for the Women's United States Champion as Nightshade makes the first attack, Ben said as Nightshade jabbed Black Ice. This is a waste of my time, Black Ice thought. All that matters is that I get my hands on Mankind. I have no time for this random woman. There's always next time. Black Ice hasn't made any efforts to attack Nightshade. What is she doing? Ben asked as Black Ice turned her back to Nightshade. Without saying a word, she climbed over the first rope, jumping off of the ring apron. And your winner, due to forfeit, she's moving on to the next round, is Nightshade.